My amplified unit, top of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, it is time to wake up, get up, and get amplified. Red team, go! And my channel members, activate those gold cards. We have a packed show today. It is indeed time to wake up, and get amplified, because we are going to discuss WWE trying to legalize betting on scripted matches. Match finishes, pre-planned, predetermined, fully scripted, and now you can start betting on them. BC is going to discuss and inform you guys on just how bad this would be for pro wrestling. It's already been happening on a much smaller scale. But if this goes through, BC is going to tell you exactly what WWE wants to do, what they're proposing to the states, and then I'm going to tell you why that's bad enough, and what stems from that is catastrophically bad. Again, we'll go over all of that coming up in this very show. And by the way, WWE has already filed in many states to make this happen. And it is very, very bad if this goes through. For us fans, for sure, but for the industry. BC goes all over it, man. We're going to take a deep dive into that discussion coming up in this very podcast. Also, we're going to talk all the ratings, man. I have some more vivid details on Monday Night Raw's rating, which we already know the final number. But how did it break down? How did John Cena do? Did he bring in enough people that could see him? Or did a lot of people not give a fuck to see him? Because he was on the third hour. The problem is the first 2 hours were not very good. The third hour of Raw kicked ass. The first 2 hours were rough to get through. Did enough people stick around for that third hour? You may be surprised. We're going to go over all of that from Monday Night Raw's deep dive into those numbers. We're also going to talk NXT's numbers. Last week doing 555,000 viewers. This week they had a Roadblock event for Tuesday night. There's only one way to go. When you're at about 550,000 viewers, you're only going to go backwards to about 500, or you're going to go forward and you're going to eclipse 600 plus. Were they able to put that vehicle into drive and catapult over 600,000 viewers? Were they able to do that with Roadblock? We're going to talk all about NXT's numbers and AEW Dynamite. This was a big pay-per-view for them, supposedly, from all the diehards, the tried and trues. They said this was the best pay-per-view of all time for AEW in their short 4-year history. All of the matches, just smashing it out. Clangers. Melty Boys giving most of them 4 or 5, almost 6 stars. So this is going to be a big Dynamite rating, right? I mean, they were only in the 800s, low 800s last week. 2 out of the last 3 weeks they've been in the low 800s. The 1 week they pulled a mill, it's because Tony Khan had a major announcement, and on the same week they had zero competition at all. And they were able to just eclipse 1 million. Other than that, they've been in the low 800,000. So this was a big week for them. A lot of people saying it was a good enough pay-per-view to get that post crowd to pull them over 1 million for Dynamite. BC said not so fast. It wasn't a good enough show to pull over 1 million. But BC was expecting about 960, maybe 970,000 viewers for Dynamite this week. Were they able to get to 960, 970 like BC had set the trajectory? Or were they able to somehow hit 1 million? Not so fast, because that shouldn't be the question. Once numbers started to leak a little bit in the demos, a lot of us numbers guys started to say, uh-oh, were they even able to hit 900,000 viewers? Did they even come close to 900? Guys, we have to talk AEW Dynamite numbers for sure. Post-Revolution, a big week for them. And that might shock you, what happened with AEW this past Wednesday night. We're going to go over all of that. So if numbers like trigger you, if you get all upset and you start crying because people are talking about wrestling numbers and ratings, this is probably not the channel for you, first of all. Second of all, you're fully being warned that we're gonna talk numbers, all right? So if you're one of those, just enjoy wrestling. Why do people talk about ratings? Ratings don't matter in 2023. If you're one of those people, see yourself out, or we'll gladly give you Das Boot. But this is not that. I've already explained a billion times on this channel that there's a billion reasons why ratings matter more than you ever could imagine in 2023 and 3023. Ratings are going to matter. So if you don't realize that, if you're not educated enough or conditioned enough to understand that, if you don't have the capacity to understand what I am saying, if you don't have the common sense and the logic, this is the time again to see yourself out, or we can give you Das Boot. But either way, the amplified unit, we are a numbers channel. We go over this stuff. We enjoy wrestling when the shows are on, but it's a wrestling podcast. So the rest of the week, we're going to talk about numbers, right? We're not going to be shocked if a show gets canceled. We're not going to be fucking shocked if a show has to move a time slot or a night. We're not going to be shocked if there's another show coming on for certain reasons and advertisers dropping off or new advertisers coming in. We like to talk about that. If that really upsets you, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Nobody is telling you got to watch. It's always interesting to see how many people care so much about the people that talk numbers. We ain't affecting you, bro. You're the one who's most interested, it seems. You're just not hearing what you want to hear, and you cry about it. And then when something happens with your show that you like, then all of a sudden we can talk about it. It's hilarious. But we are going to talk numbers, guys. Again, I'll be your host, BC Amplified. This is the Amplified channel, and we have a packed show, and I ain't going to waste any more time. Let's start with Bully Ray. I know we don't always see eye to eye. I think he's got some of the dumbest takes in the pro wrestling world at times. But he just triggered a lot of the AEW fan base and pissed him off, even though he always straddles that line. Bully Ray, for the most part, likes to try to keep the audience, right? So he's not fully honest a lot of the time. When I know he's holding back, I know he wants to be more honest, but he's one of those people in the community that wants to straddle the line so you keep everybody, right? Trust me, BC wants to see every company succeed, but the only way to do that is you got to be truthful. It's the reason that we're so hard and harsh on WWE for the last 6 years, and it's the reason we're harsh on AEW now. We want them to succeed. We see the cracks in the wall. We see the holes in the game, and we're trying to fill that shit. We're trying to help. But you can only do that if you're honest, right? So Bully Ray has to stop holding back, and he just needs to fucking go full throttle, man. Start throwing those Hail Marys, and if they land and people want to understand and comprehend the information you're giving, awesome. If the ball drops in the end zone, nobody catches it, they don't retain the information, the truth, then tough shit. We're going to keep trying. But people have to understand that we're trying to help. Well, Bully Ray finally came through this week, man. And again, a lot of people cried about it, but he came full throttle at the AEW referees. Now, this is something that BC has been saying for the longest time. I can't stand AEW officiating. It is non-existent. It absolutely sucks. It's half because the referees absolutely suck, from an Aubrey Edwards to a fucking Bryce to whoever the fuck. And I used to not mind Aubrey Edwards, but I mean, it just seems like she doesn't even give a fuck anymore. She wants to be just as much of the show as the fucking wrestlers. I can't stand the officiating. I think that's half them just sucking, and I think the other half is just Tony Khan and everybody else backstage not giving a fuck, not paying attention, not thinking that it's important enough to tell them to stop looking stupid, to start actually enforcing rules, to look like they're actually in there officiating and not a spectator in the ring. It's fucking dumb as shit. But Bully Ray says the following about AEW officiating, and I was actually like, whoa, is this truth coming from Mr. Ray, the bully himself? Swig of coffee before we go over Bully Ray's comments about AEW officiating. Bully says, and I quote, "I'm bringing to light the refereeing issues in AEW which continue to happen week after week for no good reason other than complete, utter, and sheer ignorance or laziness. And that's all I can chalk it up to. The refereeing shit just bothers me to high heaven, and I think it needs to stop. To me, the referee is as important as the competitors. They're part of the story of the match. Did these guys have a really good match? I believe he's referring to Lethal and Cassidy in these remarks. Yes, they did, but it's moments like that just, I'm sorry, it should never happen. And he's talking about the participants being outside the ring. Instead of not only not counting, he then gets outside the ring and he doesn't do anything. He just jumps out the ring like he wants to get a fucking face-to-face view of the match. You know what I mean? Like, he just turns into a spectator, and that's AEW officiating. Now, of course, this caused a little bit of an uproar. Oh, shut up. You know, I wish people would say that most of the time with Bully Ray, trust me. But this is one of those things that you can't argue. It's just fact. AEW officials absolutely suck. Like, really bad, right? It's stuff that you would see at, like, indie shows where they have to be more of the show than they should be in the big leagues on national television primetime, where you should just be a small part of the match. We shouldn't even acknowledge you most of the time. That's how good you should be at your job of being in the ring, but not taking any spotlight from the actual competitors. And if you really need to become a part of it, like you're doing a count, or you're about to get knocked out by a wrestler, right? And you're gonna play the fucking role where you're, referee's knocked out. Okay, then you step in seamlessly, flawlessly, so fluently. You step into that spotlight and you take that bump, or you step in and you start the count. But the focus should always be on the rest. Man, you watch AEW. And these referees, their facial expressions, their mannerisms are so over the top. It's so corny and hard to watch. It's one of the reasons I find Dynamite so fucking hard to watch. The officials just take me away from the match. The focus is on them. Little Bryce and his, oh my God, everything. Oh my God. Oh shit. And he makes and he starts doing these weird, like he's convulsing, and he starts looking all around. What do I do? Just call them, dude, just relax. Act like you've been to the dance before. Act like you've been there before, man. Bunch of fucking weirdos, these people. Aubrey Edwards is just fucking hopped up on who knows. It's just so much of an act that it takes you out of it. It's over the top. They're straight clowns. You know, and it's good to finally have somebody who straddles fucking the line and is afraid to tell the truth all that. It's good to have somebody like Bully Ray just say, hey, I'll tell you one thing that's really frustrating me, and this is going to piss people off, but the officiating, it's got to stop. And guys, it's not just the over-the-top antics, the facial expressions and mannerisms that are just so fucking corny, stupid, and not needed. But it's the fact that they don't know what they're doing, or they're just coming across like the wrestlers have no respect for what they're saying. Like they'll be in a tag match, and if you've ever seen one AEW tag match, you've seen a million. They're all the same. Every match is a tornado tag, because all of these wrestlers are flippity dive people for the most part, so everybody has to do their spots, and everybody has to set up their spots, and so you can't sell properly. Right? You take a fucking move. It doesn't matter if it's a 450, 729, 620, deep dive, super smash splash. You got to jump right the fuck up so you can deliver your 450, 729, 650, deep dive, super smash splash. And then they jump up, and then you just repeat the process, right? And then you all get together, right? The 6 of you, the 7 of you get together, and you hold your hands out while somebody does that fucking stupid dive from the top turnbuckle, and then you all catch them, and you all fall like dominoes or a fucking bowling ball hitting fucking bowling pins. And then you all get up fucking 10 seconds later because Mikey's got to give his spot to fucking Timmy, and Timmy's got to give his spot to Joey, and then it doesn't stop. It's a fucking circus sideshow. Right? It's a spot fest. That's where we get the term spot fest. Nobody is selling. There's no in-ring psychology. There's no story being told. You have fucking a bunch of dudes that just do fucking flips and dives for the theatrics of it all, right? We're going to watch the fucking 450, 729, 650 deep dive, super smash splash. We're going to watch the fucking, the triple Toledo tortellini Canadian destroyer from the top rope, and the guy will jump up after 6 seconds, or kick out at 2 and 1/4. And meanwhile, while all that is happening, while the spot fest is going on, the referee's in the corner the whole time. Why is there 4 people, or if it's an 8-man tag, all 8 of them, or if it's a 10-man tag, all 10 of them, if it's trios, all 6 of them? This week at Dynamite, it's going to be a fucking 9-way match, 3-way, 9 people for the trios division, 3 separate teams. All 9 of them will be in the ring most of the time. I promise you guys, this is what AEW does. And the referee the whole match will sit in the corner and start doing mime shit, right? He's like, you get out. I'm telling you, like I have the last 10 minutes, get out. You. What the hell are you doing in here? What's your name, young man? You. I don't like you. And you don't even know what he's saying. He's in the corner and he's just doing shit. He's doing the fucking Macarena. Macarena. Hey, Macarena, right? He's doing the fucking cha-cha slide. To the left, y'all. Now cha-cha-cha. Now everybody clap your hands. Right? It's electric. He's doing the electric slide. He's doing the fucking chicken dance. You don't know what the referee's doing. You don't. You don't have a fucking clue because he doesn't have a clue. And nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about what he is doing. Nobody cares about what he is saying. There's no authority in that referee. He's doing a bunch of shit for 12 minutes and then somebody wins. And he's like, yeah, I really officiated this match. I give order, law and order in this match, baby. Bryce. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They look stupid. And the other half of the time, while everybody's in the ring, they're in the corner, and sometimes they don't do the fucking Macarena or the cha-cha or an electric slide, or the fucking the chicken dance. No, they're just like staring at all the action, like they're just a spectator, and they somehow got a turnbuckle seat. You know, you get section 100 seating, you get floor seating, you get front row seating. You get turnbuckle seating, where you get to stand in front of the fucking turnbuckle and watch the match. And that's what these fucking officials do in AEW. They just watch the fucking match. It's absolutely batshit bonkers. It's ballistically stupid to the highest degree and most amplified of measures, I assure you. So yeah, it's good to have somebody finally calling out this shit so that they can fix it. And here's a crazy concept. Make it better. Make the fucking shows better. It's not that hard. People like BC are giving you a formula and / format to make Dynamite and real competition to Vince McMahon's WWE, not just a fraudulent competition, right? Not just saying, oh, we're real competition. Meanwhile, WWE's flagship SmackDown show is pulling more than 3 times the viewership than AEW. AEW is having a hard time with their flagship Dynamite show. They're having a hard time just staying above NXT these days. That might become a problem in a few months. We're going to get to numbers in a little bit. One of the big issues, you have people like BC, you have people like fucking Bubba now, who straddles the fucking line between trying to make everybody happy, just for the sake of making everybody happy. You have people finally saying, dude, can we do something about the officials in AEW? They fucking suck. They're obnoxious. They make themselves way more part of the show than they should be. And they literally do nothing. So somehow, while doing nothing, they make themselves just as much of the act as the wrestlers. Basically, they should be, man. The referee needs to be just as much of the act. Bullshit. Bullshit. Sometimes it's better to be seen and not fucking heard. Know when to stay that third wheel. Know when to come in and make the impact. Know when you are needed. Know when you are wanted. Know when you should be doing your thing. You are on fucking national TV. You're not on the local bingo halls anymore. You're not trying to entertain 27 people at the fucking Armory Club. And it takes people away. And if you don't think it does, wait till you hear the fucking numbers, man. Let's talk about them, right? Let's not wait. And again, if you're one of these people, I just enjoy wrestling, the numbers don't matter. They do. Because I said they do, first of all. I've said a million reasons why they do, and I ain't gonna fucking repeat myself. So we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna do it now. We'll start with Monday Night Raw. So Monday Night Raw, as we already knew, they pulled a 1.827 this week. This is up from last week's 1.76. That's approximately 51,000 viewers more. This was a big, heavily promoted John Cena return, a big Boston night. I think WWE and BC was easily expecting over 1.9. Was it a 2.0 worthy show? No, the first 2 hours were rough to get through. The third hour was one of the best hours of Raw I've seen in years. But the first 2 hours were really rough. Of course, ratings-wise, you're going to see some of the highest numbers in the first 2 hours, especially the first hour, because it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. You know, it's younger in the night, so a lot more people. You got the lead into the show. You have a lot more people that are up. You know, by the time the show ends, you're talking 11 p.m. Eastern time. I mean, there are people, crazy concept, that have school and work and have to get to bed before 11. Totally understandable. So the third hour, it's risky. You know what I mean? Do you pack it because it is the end of the show and you want the cliffhanger and you want people to stick around for the third hour? Or do you put a lot of the nonsensical shit? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, no matter which way you play it. You know, I've seen WWE just put like a third hour of absolute garbage. I've seen them stack it. Well, they stacked it this past week, and they stacked it with John Cena. And surprisingly, that was the lowest rated hour. I really thought they'd stick around at least for the first part of the third hour. But the 9 p.m. slot, the 8 p.m. slot was the highest, obviously, with a 1.885.3 demo. The 9 p.m. slot hit a 1.855 0.53 demo, going down 30,000 from hour one. And by 10 p.m., you were at 1.741 with a 0.50 demo. The demo stayed pretty damn solid for 18 to 49 throughout the night, over 0.50 the whole night. But by the time you got to that third hour, you saw 51, 61, 71, 81, 44. 144,000 viewers checked out from hour 2 to hour 3. Now, it's interesting to see, is that because people just the first 2 hours didn't do it for them? And they're like, dude, I can't do this another 3 hour for a third hour. It's possible. The first 2 hours were rough. Aside from Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, top of hour 2, it was a rough 2 hours. I'm not going to lie. Especially if you're a casual, I don't see any reason why you would stick around for the second hour, let alone the third hour. If you didn't know how good the third hour was going to be, there's no way we could have known that, right? We knew that Sammy was going to take on Jimmy, but there was no way we knew that they were going to set up that type of fucking cliffhanger. We knew Cena was going to appear, set up a match with Theory, possibly, but we didn't think it was going to be that good of a segment, right? We didn't know about the Cody Rhodes involvement. We didn't know we'd get a little extra nugget like Chad Gable actually winning a match. There was a lot of cool shit that there's no way you could have known. So maybe that's why the 144,000 viewer drop. But because the first two were solid up in the 180s, 8 p.m. near 1.9, the final number was able to eclipse 1.8. You gained over 50,000 viewers from the week before, but I look at that as a drastic fail for WWE. There was a big Boston show. It was a big John Cena marketed, promoted appearance, and they only pulled a 1.827, you know? And I'm a fan of jacking up that third hour, man. If we're going to sit around for a 3-hour show, give us a fucking reason why we should sit around for the entire 3 hours. Stack the third hour. I think just recently, WWE started to get a pulse for Monday Night Raw. I think people are still coming around to that. I've said this a million times. I'll say it a million more times on this channel. When you're bad for so long, it's going to be much harder to dig yourself out of that hole. Raw has been bad, really bad, for the better part of the last 10 years. And what you did is you alienated your audience. You made them go away in droves. And people said, well, when football is over, BC, when Monday Night Football is done, you're going to get all of them back. Or at least the most, 80, 85, 90% are going to come back, BC. You'll start talking about 2-2s, maybe even 2-5s, BC. And you can't help but laugh. The only reason I didn't laugh is because it's tragic to know that that's not the case. They're not going to go anywhere near 2.5, first of all. They're not going to go anywhere near 2.2, first of all. All right? 2.0 was going to be a struggle, 2 million, because they were so far back, guys. They were starting to play around with 1.5s and 1.6s. So even when football's done, the most you're going to do is fuck around with 1.8s, 1.9s. And sure enough, football left, and they're fucking around with 1718s, not even the 19s. So my point is, it's not a pat on the back moment. Of course I was right all along. I follow the numbers, right? I'm not giving you my opinion when I talk numbers. I'm giving you guys facts. Whether people want to take it for what it is or not, or just say, oh, fuck basically, and the damn numbers, that's their prerogative. But I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm telling you guys this is the facts. I saw how low they went. They were fucking around with 1.5s and 1.6s. When football stops, Monday Night Football, you honestly think 700,000 viewers are coming back? No. For the entire football season, or at least for Monday Night Football, 17 weeks, there was people leaving in droves by the hundreds of thousands. And then what happens when you miss Monday Night Raw or anything for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks, you start to think, oh, wait. I haven't tuned in a while. There's no FOMO. There's no fear of missing out for Monday Night Raw. There's nothing. I don't feel anything. I bet if I tune in right now, it's going to be the same shit that I've 4 months ago. And they would have been right. So when people start to miss it too much, it becomes a trend. And that's where the problem is for WWE. I told you guys. Everyone said, oh, BC, I know they're dropping so many people, but it's football, man. It's NFL football. Right, that was the excuse every week. Oh, BC, it's football. It's okay, man. Just relax. After football, it's going to be fine. Well, BC is relaxed. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, man. I just run a pro wrestling podcast. We talk about the numbers, and it's not looking good for World Wrestling Entertainment's Monday Night Raw. It's just the facts. And I kept trying to raise the red flag. Like, guys, we're going so low. There was a couple of times we hit 1.4s. And I was like, guys, there's a big problem here. Because when football's done, you're not getting all of these people back. They're telling themselves subconsciously, I can miss this for many weeks, and it doesn't change it. I don't feel a certain way anymore. I can miss pro wrestling's Raw. And that's what fans started to do. They started to miss many weeks, and they told themselves, no FOMO here, no fear of missing out. And by the time football was over, guys, here we are. And they're struggling to hit 1.9 on decent shows. Decent, right? They have a pulse at least over on the red brand. But it's going to take a while to get those fans to believe in you again. It's going to take a while to get those fans back. And it's the same thing I've been saying with AEW, guys. It's not because I want the company to fail. I want it to succeed, is why we go over numbers, right? Nobody's saying they're not going to get a TV deal again, guys. Of course they will, right? They're top 5 consistently, top 3 a lot of the weeks for Wednesday Night Dynamite, sometimes number 1 for the night slot. So of course they will. The problem is when you start going backwards so much, your rights deal, first of all, will be much lower. Tony Khan will get much less money. But B, if it goes too far back, the network will make you switch nights. They'll switch time slots, and it will affect business drastically. To the point where Tony Khan will have to make really tough decisions. He'll have to take his 185-person roster and cut it down to, oh no, wait for it, 145. And then maybe 105 in 2 years. You gotta be careful how far you go backwards, guys. They're fucking around 800,000. They used to be at least around 1 million. Well, what's next? You go into the 700s? You got to be careful with that shit. And because the big problem is not just, just relax, man. Once basketball is over, they'll all come back. No, we just learned from Raw. They don't all come back. They miss for several weeks, and they don't feel like they need to come back. Or they'll tune in next month. It'll still be the same shit. That's what they're saying. So even when basketball is over, for instance, don't be shocked if you're still struggling to get 900,000 viewers. Because it's a trend, and people are seeing that they can walk away, and it's okay. There's no FOMO. There's no fear of missing out. That's what happened for Monday Night Raw, I truly believe, because it's had a pulse. That third hour was kick-ass. There's no reason for that to be at a 1.741, especially for John Cena. But I know exactly how this happened, and I don't blame fans for walking away and not believing that they should come back. WWE did this for the better part of 10 years to themselves. Internal self-sabotage. They put together a bad show for nearly 10 years, and they turn a blind eye when we tried to raise concern. Now, just because you decided to give a fuck doesn't mean we're all gonna fucking come running back because you flashed a bowl of food in front of us. Please, sir, can I have some more? No, we're not gonna file up in a single file line. you're going to have to work double, triple, 10 times as hard to get the fan base back. Now's the time to see if WWE RAW is going to sink or swim during the hard times. At least they have a pulse. That's the good news. I'm not falling asleep during Raw anymore. Maybe it's WrestleMania season. Maybe that's why I get to see the Litas and the Trishas and John Cena putting together a performance like that. Logan Paul and Seth Rollins is going to tear it down at WrestleMania. Kana Asuka versus Bianca is a little bit of a dream match for BC on the biggest stage anyway, because I respect them so much. So maybe it's a lot of that, but Raw is showing signs of life, but it's going to take a lot more because you've been bad for so long. I'm hoping AEW learns that lesson and changes shit now. Speaking of AEW, well, let's go to NXT first because we'll go 24 hours later after Raw. NXT put together a Roadblock event. Pretty big. Their world champion Braun Breaker was in action, 6-man tag. You had a super grudge match. 2/3 of Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. And you had a main event for the ages. I'm calling it the women's match of the year thus far. So I'm not saying it's going to remain that, but this is going to elevate everybody. Anybody who saw that match, especially the females in the wrestling world, that is the match you now have to... Sorry, not sorry. I saw the Elimination Chamber, and I know those ladies busted their asses. But, and I saw fucking the Bakers and Saray's. I saw Kairi Sane and my girl Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. I've seen all of it. But Meiko Satomura and Little Roxanne Perez, what they did, man. Wow, for 15 minutes. And then the post-match curricular, the extracurricular activities, I should say, post-match, by Roxy collapsing. I just thought the whole final couple segments so fun, man. And easily for BC, this was match of the year for the females. So this was a big event. I'm sure nobody knew. You had Grayson Waller's effect too, his show with Shawn Michaels, and that story has been building, and it was so good to see that segment. It was so much fun, well executed. Johnny Gargano shows up. So it was a big show, and it was needed because NXT, at 555,000 viewers last week, and many people say there's no reason that shouldn't be. Bare minimum at 6. That's bare minimum. So the C555, you had to find a way to get to 6 at least. You had to find a way to put that vehicle into drive because it cannot go into reverse anymore. You're going to hit a wall. You can't go down to 500,000. Luckily, this event was good enough to not only hit 6, but catapult them over. NXT hit 624,000 viewers this week. I believe their demo, I don't know if I got their demo, a .17, I believe, but that was their highest in recent months. Or if it wasn't the overall demo, 18 to 49, a couple of their demos were actually highest in months. So I'm sure that's going to be well received backstage for WWE, NXT brand anyway. But 624,000, man. So they gained 45, 55, 65, 60, just over 69,000 viewers. Nearly 70,000 is the highest gain of the week for pro wrestling, any show. Raw saw a 50 some odd thousand. AEW Dynamite actually saw a 20 some odd thousand increase. We're going to go over that. And NXT had the biggest increase of nearly 70,000 viewers. Of course, they would have loved to have seen that eclipse 650, but beggars can't be choosers. I mean, you were going backwards pretty fast at 555. This is a big uptick. Catapult you past 6, and people got to see a really good show. I'm expecting them to do very good next week. Or are people going to say, okay, they blew their load on the NXT Roadblock, not too much left to see next week? I hope not. But 624 is the biggest increase for a show. But they're still well behind everybody else. Of course, they really put the focus that they are developmental this week, even though it blurs the lines when you bring a lot of the WWE main roster people on, and then people start to go, what the fuck are you? But 624, you had to get past 6. I mean, that's where the conversation starts. If they did not hit 6, man, not good. But they did. They eclipsed it. catapulted just over 24,000 fans, more than 6. So I'm sure they're going to look at that as a good beginning to a long road ahead to get people to notice that, hey, we're pretty fucking good over here. And we're on the ass of AEW, man. They're going closer to 800. We're beginning the journey back to 700. And then they're going to be neck and neck. Tony Khan doesn't have to worry about being competition for WWE's main roster. He's going to have to worry about just facing NXT head on, even though they're on different nights. And for AEW, we'll conclude the ratings talk with AEW Dynamite. Dynamite, and let me get the actual... I'll get the actual number for you. Give me 1 second. Because I want to get the demo as well. So the demo for Dynamite was a .29, 18-49. And the rating overall was 858,000 viewers. This was a post-big pay-per-view revolution, post-PPV show. AEW fans talking about 1 million. BC was trying to talk them off that ledge because there was no way the show was good enough to hit 1 million. I don't care if you're post pay-per-view or not. I did give them about 960 to 970 as a top, though. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said 960, 970 possibly. I was not prepared for what I saw when the rating came out. And they only pulled 858,000. Guys, just several weeks ago, they only pulled 833. Last week, they only pulled 824. Post pay-per-view, 858. So you're telling me, so it was 824, so 34, 44, 54. So it's 34, not 24,000 like I previously said. 34,000 viewers uptick. So they gained 34,000 viewers. That's it. All of us, even those that follow the trends, the trajectory, the numbers vividly, all of us at the bare minimum said that they were at least going to pull an extra 100,000 viewers this week, which means from last week's 824, they were at least going to eclipse 924, 925, right? It was just how much. Was it good enough to pull 950? Did they somehow pull 975? Again, I did not think 1 million was even obtainable because the show was just not that good. So even the AEW diehard tried and true fan base was going to be like, I'm going to check out now. But to see, I never would have thought that they would only pull 34,000 viewers. I don't even... Here we are Friday morning, and I'm still trying to comprehend this. I saw these numbers basically when they came out, within about 10, 15 minutes from them actually going public. I saw these numbers, and here we are the next morning, and I can't comprehend that they only pulled 34,000 viewers on a post that everybody raved about. The AEW tried and trues, the diehards, man, they said this was the best pay-per-view. Every match, 5 stars. Melty boy giving them all 4s, 5s, and 5 3/4 is what fucking MJF and Danielson got. I think Hangman and Mox got like 5 stars plus or some shit. It was just, it was a palooza, right? And of course, I don't take that seriously, man. It's Melty boy. You guys got to remember, Melty is absolutely in the pocket of AEW because his boys are the Young Bucks. They're friends, or at the very bare minimum, they're huge acquaintances. So Melty boy's big acquaintances are executive vice presidents of AEW. There's a move called the Meltzer Driver in AEW. They try to get 5 stars, and they openly admit that. Brittany Baker, after her Thunder Rosa Lights Out match, she went to the trainer's room. There was a film crew there, and they were filming Brittany Baker, and she's like, Britt's like, if that wasn't 5 stars from Meltzer, I don't know what is. That better have gotten 5 stars. MJF, during his Iron Man match with Danielson at the pay-per-view, looked into the camera and actually made reference to Meltzer. They openly just use Meltzer as part of the show. This is the biggest clout that Meltzer's ever gotten. Vince has never shown him the time of day in decades. And then you see these awards by Meltzer and his little buddy Brian Alvarez there, and then everything is AEW, right? Promoter of the Year, Company of the Year, Business of the Year, Top Star of the Year, Top Faction of the Year, Top Tag Team of the everything is AEW. One or two might go over to the, like Paul Heyman or something gets a nod for WWE. But you can't take it seriously because that's who they are, and their base is going to be basically tribalistic to just mostly AEW. So even if the fans get to vote, obviously it's going to be all AEW. So the problem is, if we know it's not fair, right? It's not really like it's all a wrestling stop. One or two here and there will be given to another company. Let's just call it what it is. The AEW Awards, right? Why doesn't Meltzer and Alvarez just call it what it is? Because the ratings have been going backwards. The shows completely suck. Tony Khan doesn't know what he's doing as a booker. He never did. I mean, just look again at what happened to Wardlow. That's just the tip of the iceberg. What he's done to the FTR. Miro's still waiting for a fucking call. You can go on and on. The women, he doesn't know what the fuck to do with the ladies. Not a clue. But he's booker. You know what? It's like, what are you going to do, bro? Just call it the AEW Awards. Right? Otherwise, you just look like fucking schmucks, man. Like absolute clowns. So you can't take it too seriously. But yeah, you get all these fucking, you start to hear all this praise, especially for Revolution. And you're thinking, okay, then Dynamite is going to be massive. You're going to get all those, the momentum is obviously there because Revolution was so good. So the momentum for AEW is going to carry right over to Wednesday with the tried and trues, the diehards that are claiming that this is the biggest event since fucking the second coming of the highest almighty. So they're saying, oh, the momentum's going to be there. Then you're going to bring back casuals because they heard about how good this was, Revolution. I mean, this could get 960, 970. No, it pulls 858. Demo couldn't even hit 30.29. 18 to 49 key demo. 858,000, guys. After a big Revolution pay-per-view that was so good, supposedly, that should have carried all the momentum to Dynamite, and you pulled 858. You are, for now, 3 out of the last 4 weeks, you are in the 800,000s. I told you guys, and it was sad to say this 2 weeks ago, or last week, I said the top of the tried and true base for AEW is about 850 to 950. That's the top of their niche audience, 850 to 950. 950 being the very peak of their niche audience, 950,000. 850 being the low end. 2 weeks out of the last 4 shows, they've been under 835, which means even the low end of the top tier of their niche audience, the 850, that's even below that now. It was 833 2 weeks ago, or just last week. It was 833. I mean, you're not even near the top of your peak of the niche anymore, which means, guys, let me put this more simpler. Your niche audience, your tried and trues, your diehard AEW base, is leaving now. I said that last week, and I'm going to tell you right now with a post-pay-per-view that should have had all the momentum in the world, your niche is now saying, check you later, I'm out. And I know this because I run a pretty decently successful podcasting channel when it comes to pro wrestling. So I get a feel of every type of fan. And I have so many AEW fans that have told BC over the last couple of weeks alone. So many. A lot of them have been in the live stream. So a lot of you guys have actually seen people say this. They've said, big AEW fan here. Loved it when they first started. I got all the shirts, got all the pay-per-views, watch all the shows. Promoted it myself wherever I could, and I gotta be honest, BC, you are completely 100 on this. It is not the same AEW that I once loved, but that I thought it was going to be, and I'm getting that more often, and the numbers are showing that. Their own tried and trues are walking away. 858 after a post-Revolution monumental pay-per-view is a fucking horrible number. Horrible. Yes, you gained 34,000 viewers. I would hope so. You couldn't even get near 900,000 with that event? And after all that momentum from Revolution, you start off with Orange Juice Cassidy and Jay Lethal. Of course, highest rated segment. You got the Big Bang Theory coming in. It's usually going to be the highest rated. It's just about how much do you drop afterwards. people stuck around almost into the second quarter to see, like, is there anything on this show that I need to see? By the end of Q2, no was the answer. You literally gave people no reason, and you started to see something very bad that we saw last week. You started to see the audience leave the program in bigger droves than we've seen in the past. Like, you started to see massive drops between the quarters. That's something, as somebody who follows the ratings, man, that's something you do not see often at all. Like, to see drastic drops. If you guys saw the show that I did on the ratings last week for AEW, I mean, you saw the graph that I put together. I mean, you saw that thing like one of those roller coasters where you're at the very top and you know you're at that big drop and it just seems to go on forever. I mean, that's what happened with Dynamite last week, and it's what happened this week as well. So I'm not gonna beat a dead horse on this, man. It sucks that we have to have this conversation, but this is why we have it, so we can help. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're calling out all the bullshit. We're trying to tell Tony, hey, the referees, you got to switch. I mean, there has to be classes or something has to be done. This is not the indies, and they cannot be that obnoxious or obnoxiously stupid or just in the corner doing the Macarena or doing nothing. You can't just have flips and dives for the sake of flips and dives, and they're not even connected. You know, there's a meme going around or a clip going around about Cartwheel Carlson, I call him in AEW. I think his name is like Cartwheel Jack or Jack Cartwheel. But he took on Take a Shitta this past week on Dark, I guess. And he does this fucking 456, 29, 762 deep dive, super smash flip, okay? Cartwheel. Over the top rope. And he doesn't even come close to hitting Take a Shitta. Take a Shitta has his arms extended as much as possible. And I think maybe his fingers grazed Cartwheel Carlson. All you guys got to do is just Google up Cartwheel AEW or AEW Cartwheel on your little tweeter machines or whatever the fuck, on your little social media doohickeys. Type that up and you'll see what I mean. He does all this fucking wild cartwheel flipping. He goes to the outside and Take a Shitta is holding his arms out as much as possible like he's gonna catch a fucking a bouquet from a bride. Or he's fucking flipping a pizza and he's trying to catch the pizza. And he doesn't even, they're so far away that they don't even graze and Take a Shitta's knocked out. But don't worry, it's only for 3 seconds because in AEW you got to get right back up so you can do your spot. It's a spot fest. So you never truly sell properly anyway, so no harm, no foul, I'm sure everybody's thinking, right? And then you see fans go, after Cartwheel Carlson misses completely, he just does flips and dives and he lands on air. The fans are like, holy shit, wow. Not even giving a fuck that he landed on air. It's like he's facing John Cena. You can't see him, so just hope for the best. Flip, dive, eventually you'll make contact. Cartwheel Carlson never made contact with Take a Shitta. And the fans afterwards were like, wow, I hope Tony Khan signs Jack Cartwheel, or whatever his name is, because Triple H might pick him up. Oh yeah, that's exactly what H wants. He wants another fucking flippity-doo-ha, dickety-dive. A guy who fucking cartwheel and flips and dives and does some fucking crazy gymnastics and lands on nobody. No contact. And these fans will go, oh, Supernatural sucks. It's ruining pro wrestling, Supernatural. But this isn't. This isn't ruining pro wrestling when you do professional wrestling moves and there's zero contact at all. We become cats. You ever see a fucking cat owner and they wave the toy in front of the cat and the cat's like this? Right? That's what we become as a society. Our attention spans are so obnoxiously horrendous, tragic, that now you just fucking have a wrestler do a bunch of fucking shit in the air and we're going to be like, whoa! Doesn't matter where he lands, if he lands on somebody, if he connects the move, if he lands on fucking 17 feet away from the wrestler, right? You can have splashes these days, right? You do a fucking a 990 splash, whatever the fuck that is. It'll be out in the next year, I'm telling you. Somebody's probably practicing on a trampoline right now. A 990 splash. And they land on fucking nobody, right? They're 17 feet away from their opponent, but everybody will go, oh, wow, his opponent's knocked out. After that splash, he never even came close. He was 17 feet away. What do you mean he's knocked out? fans don't care, right? The AEW fans, anyway, man. Much love and respect, but clearly you don't care about the actual contact for these wrestlers. You don't care about the move being done properly or effectively. You just want to see the dives, man. How many flips can he do? How many cartwheel doohickeys can he do, man? It's the illusion that he's connecting, BC. Okay, that works if you're, like, close. But if you're fucking 3 feet away and Take a Shitta can't even graze you with his hands fully extended, that's a problem. And you want more of it? You want Tony Khan to sign him so you can see more gymnastics? Go watch gymnastics. Don't ruin pro wrestling for us. And these are the same people that'll watch WWE and watch Charlotte Flair miss her moonsault 90% of the time. They're like, wow, she misses her moonsault all the time. She's horrible. Listen, you ain't getting, this ain't no Charlie fan here. I can appreciate the disdain for the booking of Charlie Flair, no doubt. And I do not have Charlie Flair as one of the best wrestlers in the world, top 5. I don't. I know she's good, but she's not top 5 for BC. So trust me, I'm not defending Charlie Flair. But if you're going to call out her horrible moonsaults not connecting, I hope you call the same. You keep that same energy and amplification for AEW, because every single week in AEW, every single show, I can call out 37 moves that didn't even come close to connecting. Keep that same energy, bro. We're trying to raise these red flags for Tony Khan. We're trying to say about the officiating. We're trying to tell him all of these dives and gymnastics are not bringing you in an audience. They're making them go away in droves because it's not wrestling. It's no longer wrestling, man. We've already had years of everything is a clanger, right? We don't say the B word anymore. I've taken out the B and I've added a C in there. They're clangers because the word with a B that rhymes with clangers, it makes me nauseous now. It's so overused. We've seen enough of them. We've seen all the gymnastics. It is clear we are gymnastics out. A lot of us anyway. Most of us. Obviously, the fans that are buying AEW tickets, they just want to see more gymnastics. They'll stand on their feet for the whole night, and you just do the dives, and they'll do all the chants. This is awesome. Holy shit. Holy shit. Fight forever. Right? But it's not real, man. That's not legit. You should change the chant to flip forever. Flip forever. Flip forever. Right? Because it's clear you love gymnastics. You don't love pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is about larger than life characters, storylines that keep you on the edge of your seat. The wrestling matches should be the fucking tip of the fucking iceberg, bro. That should be the icing on the cake, the cherry on the sundae. I know, it's a pro wrestling show, BC. What do you mean it's just the cherry on? That's exactly what I'm saying. Pro wrestling is way more than moves and sequences, believe it or not. You've moved the goalpost in 2023. I'm glad you enjoyed it and you got all your fucking clangers out of it. You got all your chants. But look at the numbers, man. Look at the ratings and look at all of what is wrong. And it can easily be fixed. Give a fuck. 858. I'm surprised. I shouldn't be too shocked. I shouldn't be. I should have known all along that their new fucking trajectory is exactly what I said it is. I used to say 850 to 950 is their tried and trues. 950 is the top tier of their niche. 850 the low end of their top tier of the niche. Oh, and now I had to move that. I had to move the goalpost for AEW. It's now 750 to 850. 750 is the low end. Let's hope they don't go there. And 850 is the new top end for their niche. That's sad that they lost 100,000 viewers recently. And it's now a trend. 100,000 when you weren't even at 1 million to begin with. You hit 1 million a couple weeks ago because of the announcement that ended up being a reality show. A 6-week reality show, guys. 6 weeks and then it's over. And that's only because Dana White's show is about to be over in a few weeks. So they needed something to take its place for a while. So they got 6 weeks of this that they've been filming. That's a press release. That should never have been a big announcement. And the Wardlow thing, you guys already know how I feel about the Wardlow situation. That was absolutely horrendous, tragic, catastrophically horrible, to the most amplified of measures. If you didn't catch yesterday's video, catch it after this one, man. I talk about Liv Morgan and not having a WrestleMania spot and how that's been butchered. But Charlie Flair is going to get all the limelight. But the one who's going viral twice this past week, Liv Morgan, the one who's the talk of the locker rooms in multiple companies, Liv Morgan is getting nothing. And in that same video, I went hard on the whole situation of Wardlow and Tony Khan's booking of him and what happened with Powerhouse Hobbs and QT Marshall. I went very, very vividly amplified on that situation, justified. And if you're wondering too, for the for the rating on for Dynamite on Wednesday night, during every quarter hour, Tony Khan was thanking fans for watching. It was actually funny, guys. Every quarter hour, Tony Khan went on his social doohickey machine and he thanked fans for watching. It's funny because I've been telling you guys for weeks that when he doesn't hit 1 million, he doesn't thank the fans. When he doesn't eclipse 900, he does not thank them the next day. And it's almost like it was a little bit of a troll. Right? Other people like took that, what I was saying, and they, they rolled with that as well. So Tony obviously hears that shit. He made sure to thank everyone during the night to try to pump up the rating even more. I'm sure when he saw 858, he was like, what the fuck? And sure enough, guys, yesterday when the rating went out, no thank you. No thank you. He only does that when you hit 1 million plus. If you are not one of the ones that contributed to 1 million plus, he will not thank you. You're basically peasants to him. He did not thank you at all for watching Dynamite after the show. During the show, every quarter hour to try to get people over. Hey, ever the promoter, bro. But it's like the boy that cried wolf. You bullshitted your own fan base for so many times with these fucking stupid bullshit announcements. Your show has not lived up to what you claimed it was. And finally, they're walking away. Even thanking them during the show is not going to help. But once again, if you were part of the 858K that watched this week on Dynamite, you did not get thanked afterwards because you did not help out enough. That's how Tony is, man. He won't thank you. So you got to hit a certain number for him to thank you. Guys, let's end this with this podcast with the WWE situation that is arising. They are attempting to legalize gambling, betting on scripted matches, which is all of them, obviously. They're all scripted. So, if you're wondering, this has already been a thing on a lower scale, right? Betting on pro wrestling is already a thing in other countries for sure, I believe. But here in the States as well. On a low scale, it's already been kind of a thing. But now they're filing the paperwork to legalize it and they're probably going to go the majority of all 50 states. They've already started in about 4 states, I believe. And they're going to try to put this on a big scale where it's like you hear like the fan duels and things like that. DraftKings, you guys are seeing that a lot more with sports, right? Football, basketball, baseball, you name it. They want to compete like that. This is going to make WWE mad money if they could do business with people like that. The DraftKings and the, you know what I mean? You got the fan duels. I mean, this is massive business, gambling in sports. Problem is, pro wrestling is not just sports based. And this is going to make them mad money. This is going to absolutely cripple the wrestling world, or at least WWE, and the fans for sure. BC, what do you mean by that? Can you elaborate? How does this affect it so drastically bad, so catastrophically? Yes, I'm glad you asked. Because when you do this, because it's scripted matches, you can see where the pluses and minuses are for the bets, right? So if you're a promoter, for instance, last second, you can change things up and you can have people that you're close to win a shit ton of money, and you can get it. So everybody knows that. They would never become legalized if that's the case. So what WWE is proposing is that months in advance, they have the scripted matches locked up. In other words, the decision will be signed, sealed, delivered. Like they do in award shows, basically. There's actually betting on award shows, but the envelopes are fucking tied up, I believe, weeks in advance. I don't think you could do it months. For WWE, it would be months in advance they're trying to push. I don't know how that could even be possible. It'd have to be weeks. But the report I'm seeing is months in advance. You say, okay, well, BC, well, how is that an issue then? Okay, so they have a story, like this is going to force them to do storylines and have a set winner. Guys, pro wrestling shit ton of pro wrestling. What it is, what it's all about is the fans' reaction. At the drop of a dime, somebody could hit the scene and we are just behind them. Like something is happening naturally, right? The wrestling gods have gotten behind somebody, and through the osmosis, we're getting behind them at an elevated level. A la Stone Cold Steve Austin and the whole Austin 316 shit, and how fast he rose to superstardom. And how we all willed. Whether McMahon wanted to put the money behind the ringmaster or not didn't matter. Stone Cold was alive and well. The fans made sure of it. Or Bryan Danielson, right? Daniel Bryan. Remember WrestleMania 30, the whole lead up and the Yes Movement. That was the farthest thing from what Vince McMahon wanted to do. You know, that was Batista's fucking moment, man. He won that shit that year, the Royal Rumble. But it was inevitable because every show, every week, every hour, it seemed that Bryan Danielson was gaining hundreds of thousands of new fans. The Yes Movement was on an elevated status that you could not deny or turn a blind eye to. That's what happens in pro wrestling, right? Out of nowhere, you just get the wildest momentum. Kofi Mania ran wild a year or two ago. Right to the World Championship out of nowhere. I believe he had I think it was like a gauntlet match. And through that gauntlet match, I think he actually replaced an injured Ali. Poor Ali. He could have been in that spot. But Kofi got the booking last minute, and he rose right to the stratosphere, gained a championship. Was that at Mania, I believe? That he actually won the title? But it was huge. Things like that is what makes wrestling so special. And those are the moments in the rides, the journeys that make it all worth watching. It's what we fall in love with, man, from day one with this shit. Now you're saying that because a name was put in an envelope 2-3 months previous, that can't be changed now. So on one hand, you're saying, well, that's a good thing. It's going to force them to finally get behind whoever they decided be. Well, first of all, did you really want that? I mean, you saw how Roman was pushed when he was a face, and Vince refused to do anything different. And for 5 years, this dude was shoved down our throat. Charlie Flair is still being. Austin Theory was a Vince McMahon hand-chosen pick and still is trying to be fucking pushed, even though nobody, like John Cena said Monday, gives a fuck about Austin Theory. Sadly, I like Austin. I want to give a fuck about him. Still with this stupid reset that was done so poorly with the Money in the Bank bullshit and how bad that was done, nobody still cares about Austin Theory. But he's still the one that's going to be pushed. Lacey Evans will come back with a 6th reincarnation of her, a 6th reset for Lacey Evans, and because Vince wants her to be pushed to the moon, she will be. So don't think that just because it's forcing them to get behind somebody and stick with it, don't think that it's going to be people that we want. And on top of that, man, when somebody is really catching lightning in a bottle, it won't matter anymore. You know, the run that Liv Morgan was on to the title, and then afterwards she was just booked so badly, and then the fans turned on her with the whole Ronda Rousey shit. But the Liv Morgan shit was so special because we saw that happening, and WWE was like, okay, we have nothing for these 3 to 4 months anyway until Charlie comes back, or we have something planned for Charlie to get the title. So, okay, no harm, no foul. Let's give it to the fucking one who has all the momentum, Liv Morgan. You can't do that with this type of shit. I mean, you're locking shit in months in advance for the sake of betting. Because people are gambling, we can't have fun audibles called. We cannot have fun spontaneity. We can't have special things happen. Snap of a finger, blink of an eye, drop of a dime. We can't have that anymore because it's locked, signed, sealed, and delivered, man. Because people are gambling on it. We have to go with what we're going with. So if somebody's hot like for 3 months ago or whatever, and by 3 months later at the paper or at a pay-per-view, and it's just like, okay, it's not working. Booking has failed them. We literally don't give a fuck about them. But that's who's got to win the title at the pay-per-view. Because over 2 months ago, it was signed in an envelope and settled. And that's what we're gambling on. Gambling in pro wrestling is just not the heartbeat of pro wrestling. Never should that be the case, man. We cannot treat this like this is the NFL or Major League Baseball. And it affects those sports as well, guys. If you think calls are not made because of betting, if you think there's not even more shadiness in referees and players today, you have no idea. Take a deep dive into information about what betting has done to them sports. Pro wrestling is about the spontaneous reactions, journeys, the momentum. the fire that wrestlers catch, the lightning in a bottle, and then the company rolls with it. They've always admitted we go off the fans. Now, that's been bullshit for many years. They have not given a fuck about us for so long. But there's still a lot of times where they were forced to go a different way because we were telling them, what are you doing, bro? You have to go this way, and now is the time to do it. Now, you can't do that. It's drastically bad, guys. And you're going to see what I mean. This is going to be legalized, I'm sure. The first 4 states will get it. It'll lead into 4 more. 7 more will join on. And before you know it, I wouldn't be surprised if 33 out of fucking 50 some odd states, what are we up to now? 51 states? I don't even know. It's been a while, man. Basically, we're at 60 states now, man. There's other territories that are on their own. You're going to have about 30, 35 states when it's all said and done. If the first 4 get legalized, I'm hoping they get rejected. I really am. You know, this is what it's come to. We're going to fucking start betting on scripted pro wrestling matches. And because of that, goodbye spontaneity, man. It's gone. It's gone. They're just going to fucking file shit on a piece of paper way in advance and then just forget about it. We don't even got to care. Right? If you're WWE, who gives a shit how we get to the actual destination? Let's just make sure we get to it and everybody makes a boatload of money. This is not good, man. This is I'm hoping it gets denied, but knowing, I mean, there's so much money on the line, and the people that approve this shit, every state approves it separately. They get fucking influenced by these big fucking brands and shit. So money talks, just like in politics, man. You think the right thing's going to be done, or should be, but because money is on the line, and these people are being paid off left and right. These state officials, federal, you name it, they're being paid off. There's big business. And these are politicians, the people that make these fucking moves and say yes or no to these type of things. If you think they're not being paid off and there's not big money on the line, fucking A, you got to take a deep dive into the real situation. So I wouldn't doubt that WWE gets approved for this shit. In a year, 2 years from now, whoever owns WWE, don't be surprised if it has gone drastically the wrong way. And that shit doesn't seem right. And that who we fucking are going for doesn't matter. We didn't have them penciled in a certain way, and we can't audible it now. Maybe in 3 months, check back with us, right? We'll put her in the other envelopes. Not good, man. This is not good. But for WWE, they'll no doubt make a boatload of cash, and this is what it's all about for them now. You clearly see what Vince is about. A power as well, not just the money, but the power goes hand in hand with the money. So, bro, this is not what BC wanted to hear. We'll see. But that's the catastrophic negatives that are going to come from this. If people think, oh, it's no harm, no foul, they're just going to make a boatload of money and we'll still get business as usual. Nope, not anymore. Because you're betting on scripted matches. So it's going to have to be put in many weeks, if not months in advance, just for everybody to know that it is legit. Otherwise, there'll be people crying foul. Not good. Guys, let me make sure, too, before I take off. I just want to make sure. SmackDown-wise. Real quick. There is another big international premium live event that's in the works for Australia. So I don't know if I got any audience over in Australia, but you guys might be getting a pay-per-view premium live event soon. There is word that they're trying to go with a premium live event that'll be badass for Australia. I think that would be a fun atmosphere, and BC would be watching vividly that show, bro. So be on the lookout, Australia. You might be getting a premium live event. And update on Ronda Rousey. Even though she's injured right now, minor injury, nothing that should take a couple of months, she's still attempting to wrestle at Mania, and booking still has her somehow going for tag titles with Shayna Baszler. I don't know how you do that, because the tag title holders, Lita and Becky, are currently in a 6-woman tag for WrestleMania. Do they pull double duty, night 1, night 2? And if so, are you putting a lot of pressure on Lita, who has not wrestled in a long time, or... She just got the titles, but you guys know what I mean. Not a lot in the last 2 years. 1 match against Becky, 1 match for the tag titles, and now you're having her pull 2 nights back-to-back for Mania in 4 weeks? Damn! But the latest we're hearing about Ronda Rousey is that She's going to be going for tag titles with Shayna Baszler, which is the initial report that we heard over a month ago. As far as... Oh, you know what? Actually, John Cena is currently scheduled for 2 more appearances before Mania. I just read that now. A pretty reputable source actually has just confirmed that. The first source, but a pretty reputable source has backed that up. So 2 more appearances, guys, by John Cena before Mania for Austin Theory. Maybe they bring him over to the blue brand as well. Try to get some eyeballs over the blue brand to understand that. I know Austin Theory is red brand. Cena's kind of middle ground. Maybe he invites Theory. I don't know. You got 2 appearances. Maybe you want to split them up, or do you do them both on the red brand? Either way, you still have 3 Raws left. 3 Raws. If you count tonight, 4 SmackDown. So you have 7 shows left before WrestleMania. 2 Cena appearances. So. And as far as the Hall of Fame, guys, we have no latest word. They're not making a big deal out of this. We were told Batista was going to be the headliner. Now we're hearing that Paul Levesque wants to keep it really short right after SmackDown. They're going to film it real quick. Just a few names. We're 4 weeks away, and this Hall of Fame is non-existent. That's sad. Hall of Fame was always one of my favorite events of WrestleMania weekend. That and this is going to sound weird, the Superstore. When I go there live, the Superstore. The whole Access, it was called. Now it's something, and maybe it's Fan Interaction Fest. I don't even know what they renamed it. But it was such a fun... WrestleMania week was so fun. It looks like they're just dwindling everything down, man. Hall of Fame is now part of SmackDown. Access has went down a day. It starts on Friday now and ends early on Monday. It used to start on Thursday and go deep into Monday, right up to Monday Night Raw. Now they pack up shop early Monday morning, or at the start of noon, and it doesn't start until February now. Friday, not Thursday. So it's sad what the hell happened to WrestleMania. And it's because they added the second night of actual Mania. Man. You see the sides of both coins, right? On one side, you totally understand that. There were so many matches you had to get a second night for WrestleMania, but on the other hand, it's at the expense of all the other festivities, man. And the Hall of Fame has now suffered. Access has suffered. SmackDown kind of did as well, because now all the emphasis is on just the 2 Mania shows. So I don't know, man. I don't know what they've botched horribly. They dropped the ball on the Hall of Fame the last 2 years, I feel. And this one, they can't even locate. They dropped the ball and they can't even locate it, right? The Hail Mary was thrown. Everyone fucking missed it, and now they're like, where's the ball? Sad to see what happened to the Hall of Fame. Guys, BC Amplified. This has been a jacked Powerhouse Hobbs. You see what I did there? It was a powerhouse podcast, man. And I thank every single one of you guys for tuning in. And all right, you know what? This is actually a very long, well over an hour. So I was going to do a roll call for my gold card members, my channel members. I'm going to do that the next vid, if you don't mind, because this is going to go like an hour and a half. So to my channel members, guys, just know you're going to get a roll call very soon. But just know, much love and appreciation for everybody that throws a coffee to BC every month via channel membership. You guys absolutely fucking rock. And to my entire red team, man, for just smashing that up. Totally free of cost. Doesn't cost a damn dime. Just helps the algorithm. Totally free. You guys are the very fucking best. Red team, go! Thank you for smashing that up. Until next time, guys, the SmackDown review will be next. Unless I put up something else later today, this evening. Always could be the case. You never know with BC. But SmackDown review is coming within the next 24 hours. Till then, top guy, I'm out. Think, be, live, amped, always. BC. Saying check you. Go deep. Go deep. Deep. Go deep. Come on, long. This is a Hail Mary. Everybody, go deep. Here it comes. Somebody better catch this.